Chapter 217. Regarding his claim that Germany wanted to dominate the world, how righteous the Americans were, and how selfless Steve was, fighting for the liberation of all mankind, the people of Paradise Island, represented by the Queen, just treated it as idle chatter. No one took it seriously. Sia, on the other hand, was a little speechless. These words were said under the truth lasso, and to Steve it was the absolute truth. In his heart, he really thought that Germany was evil and America was righteous. He was willing to sacrifice himself for the sake of his country. Such a noble sentiment made Sia sweat. Compared to him, Sia's patriotism was not even as big as a sesame seed. This child was still young, similar to the patriotic young man in Marvel who also added Steve as his friend. Both of them did not realize the filth of politics. The war has been going on for 4 years. 27 countries have been involved. 25 million people have died. Countless innocent old people, women, and children have been slaughtered. The power of weapons has never been as great as it is today. I have to go back and save my people. At the end of his speech, Steve was sobbing uncontrollably. Except for Sia, who knew the truth of the history, everyone else was moved. Mother, this must be Ares's doing. Diana instantly came to such a strange conclusion through her own worldview. Thea wanted to say that Ares was wronged. This god was so wronged. What did the greed of mankind have to do with the god of war? How could he just put the blame on Ares? The good things were done by the wise leaders of mankind, and the bad things were done by the evil god Ares. In the beginning, Ares's only priesthood was war. However, during the long campaign of putting the blame on Ares, mankind automatically helped Ares to get a lot of priesthoods such as conquest, bloodthirst, destruction, and so on. Ares was pulled from the neutral camp to the evil camp. Hearing her daughter's words, Hippolyte was confused at first. However, she quickly recalled the evil and heartless stories that she had instilled in her daughter. She was embarrassed and speechless. Diana ignored everyone's strange looks and confidently explained her theory, from myths and legends to the current state of the world, and finally concluded, only Ares has such a powerful ability to do so many immoral things. Finding that no one responded to his description, he could only turn to Thea for support. Artemis, you think so too, right? Thea froze for 2 seconds before realizing that he was talking to her. What else could she say? Ares was not innocent. He was more or less involved in the war. He immediately nodded vigorously and made a clear statement. You are right. Ares must die. Antiope, who was supposed to be dead at this time, thought of something and advised in a low voice, Your Majesty, dealing with Ares is the mission of the Amazons. Thea also made her stance clear. Your Majesty, I can feel the remnants of Ares' divine power in the world. This is our mission. She could feel the divine power of a ghost, but she couldn't feel it. It didn't mean that the Queen couldn't feel it. Steve had just crashed, and the Germans were still floating on the sea. The Queen could rush to the seaside with a large number of thugs. The battlefield at that time was not close to the residential area. How did she come? The Queen must have some kind of detection and warning device. Otherwise, it would be impossible to be so fast. Diana got the support of the two and became more confident. She looked at her mother with bright eyes. Hippolyte's face was cold. She ignored the three and took the lead to leave the courtroom. Everyone walked out in a single file, and Diana walked at the back with her head down. Sia looked around. Huh? Steve was still tied by the noose. She untied the noose and handed it to Diana. This equipment, in the words of Shenxia, had too much karma. She didn't dare to put it in her pocket in front of everyone. Niobe, take him down and clean up. Thea handed Steve, who had recovered a lot, to the dark-skinned woman. No matter how thirsty he was, he wouldn't do anything to Niobe, who was like a black bear, right? Thea, what should I do? Diana asked worriedly. Hey, this girl was obviously confused. Finally, she didn't call her by a long list of names. Thea could only encourage her. Stick to your heart, Diana. No matter what, I will support you. With Thea's support, Diana's fear of the outside world subsided. Firm belief reappeared between her eyebrows. She told Thea to go back and wait for her, and hurriedly left alone. What was she doing? Thea thought to herself. Was she going to get the deceptive Godslayer? This girl was so lucky. Except for the problem with the Godslayer, she would soon be fully equipped and beat everyone who didn't agree. Not long after returning to the residence, the dark-skinned woman led Steve, who had barely washed up, back to report. "Mr. Trevor, do you have any further plans to stop the war?" Thea saw Steve staring blankly at the bread she baked the moment he entered the house. She was afraid that the future leader of the Sky's Eye Society would starve to death, so she quickly threw him a piece of bread. After he finished it in a few bites, she handed him a glass of water. Your American English is very authentic. You have a gift for languages. I'm going back to London first. You know London, right? It's the capital of England. I need to submit a mission to my boss. After that, I can help you find your man. Ares. Yes, that's the name. Steve was about to tease Thea when he saw her beauty. But when he saw Thea's divine power staring at him through her eyes, he didn't dare to say anything else. Instead, he told her his plan honestly. What kind of *T plan was this? This guy was deliberately using Diana as his free bodyguard. If Ares hadn't jumped out, with Diana's little experience, she wouldn't have been able to find him even if she searched for 100 years. This war was not about strategy or planning. It was about who was the dumbest. These two half-brothers had fully demonstrated a competition of who was worse than the other. Although this mission was stupid, and the outcome of the battle had nothing to do with the world, Thea had no choice but to participate in this so-called epic battle with them in order to collect enough energy to go home. Niabi, I'm going to go on this fated expedition with Diana. Although we weren't on good terms at first, we're good friends now. Do you want to stay or come with us? The dark-skinned woman hesitated for a moment. She wasn't Diana, who yearned for the outside world. To her, living and dying on the island was her final destination. I understand, my friend. Thank you for taking care of me for so many days. I'll now give you back your freedom. I'll discuss your matter with the Queen and let you return to the Amazon. Chapter 218. Thea did not wait for the woman's response. Instead, she took out her longbow and gently touched the woman's shoulder, canceling the verbal contract between the two. The woman was so touched by Thea's kindness that she knelt on the ground and sobbed. Steve did not understand Greek, so he did not know what they were talking about. He could only stare blankly at them. After crying for a while, the woman realized that it was not the time to express her feelings. So she bowed to Thea. This was the normal procedure, and Thea did not stop her. Watching the woman leave in tears, Thea felt a little sad. The next time they met would probably be more than 100 years later, if Hippolyte still allowed her to come to the island. At the same time, Thea was thinking about who to hire for the job of feeding the elk. But before she could think about it for long, the dark-skinned woman ran back and handed an exquisite jade box to Thea. Artemis, this is the treasure of the lost Amazons. We abandoned the Greek gods and went into the arms of the Egyptian gods. It was not until 2,000 years ago that we returned to Paradise Island, but we can no longer activate the magic on it. Perhaps you are its master. She stuffed the jade box into Thea's hands and nodded before she could refuse. Then, she left like a gust of wind. What is this? So mysterious. Thea first studied the jade box. It was square and airtight, and even her psychic power could not penetrate it. It should be a special box. When she opened the jade box, she saw a palm-sized disc. The disc was a little broken and seemed to have been crushed by a strong force. It was made of neither gold nor silver, and there was a dazzling metal chain on it. It seemed to be an amulet. Thea took the amulet out of the jade box and looked at it carefully. She was completely dumbfounded. The front of the disc was engraved with a rising throne, and the back of the disc was the image of a goddess sitting cross-legged on the ground with her wings spread out. Thea, who was now proficient in theology, put the amulet back into the jade box with lightning speed. This was the image of Isis, the Egyptian god, who was famous for his powerful magic power. This god claimed to know the true names of countless gods. Except for Ra, the father of all gods, he could control all the true gods. He was now on the side of the Greek gods, and he was an activist with the identity of an elector. He could not get along with the Egyptian gods. More importantly, this goddess of boundless magic was the mother of Horus. Although Thea often deceived herself by saying that Horus could live for more than 200 years, she knew that this matter could not be hidden from the eagle's efforts to avenge him. How could Isis, the mother of Horus, not know what the eagles knew? The dark-skinned woman was not trying to trick her. Although she only glanced at it, she knew the effect of the amulet. It was really a fool's move. As long as a person with a certain amount of spiritual power wore this amulet, he could use the remaining magic power in the amulet to be possessed by Isis. In ancient times, Isis might come in person, but now, in the era where the gods were living under subsistence, she could only be a projection. But Thea did not dare to take the risk. What if Isis rushed into the main material plane to avenge her son's death? Perhaps they could kill him together with Diana. After that, they would kill his son and his wife. Would it be time for Osiris to make his appearance next time? At that time, she and the Egyptian gods would become mortal enemies. Although there was a great chance that she could get a pair of eyes of Horus, it would be a terrible thing. It was normal that the dark-skinned woman and the others did not respond to this amulet. This was the anti-magic field set by Zeus, and there were no gods at the level of the king of gods here. Even Diana, his daughter, was suppressed like an ordinary person, let alone this amulet from an enemy god. After so many years, it was tenacious to have only a few cracks and not be broken into powder. Sigh, what should I do? This amulet was full of magic power. She was reluctant to give it to the dark-skinned woman, but she did not dare to use it. Fortunately, all the modern gods were dead. Otherwise, this amulet would have been sensed as soon as it left Paradise Island. After thinking for a while, the only stupid idea that Thea could think of was to use a dark spell, the greater energy absorption spell, to continuously absorb the magic power from the amulet and feed it back to herself. But Thea's magic was far from enough at this time, so she could only put this idea aside for now. Artemis, are you still willing to help me? Just as Thea lowered her head and thought about what else she could do to deal with this amulet, Diana rushed in. At this time, Diana was wearing a fiery red half-body armor, with the guardian silver bracelet that had accompanied her for many years on her arm, the fake Godslayer sword and the lasso of truth on her waist, the divine shield on her back, and the winged god's boots of Hermes on her feet. Thea's eyes lit up at the sight of her shiny godly outfit. She was so envious. Thea had been waiting for this moment for half a year. She said firmly, "Diana, I'm willing to help you. This must be the mission that the gods sent me here." The so-called mission was a theory that Thea had come up with in the past half a year. In order to continue their friendship, she had to make an explanation for her disappearance after the war. It was best to blame everything on the gods. In the meantime, no matter what Diana imagined, she could blame it on the gods. "Let's go." Diana was happy that the two had come to an agreement. She pulled Thea and walked out. Thea took 2 steps before she remembered Steve. She quickly turned back and pulled Thea with her. Diana was a little confused about why she brought this man with her. Thea's explanation was that the outside world discriminated against women, and having a man by her side could solve a lot of problems. Discrimination. Diana was furious when she heard this word. She did not care about her secret plan. She grabbed Steve and wanted to ask him what was going on. "Do you have female soldiers in the outside world?" Steve shook his head without hesitation. "Do you have female generals?" Steve thought about it carefully. It seemed that he had never heard of such a thing. He continued to shake his head. How could that be? This question was too vague. Even a professor would not be able to answer it, let alone a soldier like Steve. He could only shake his head again. Women have no status at all? It's not written in the books. This time, Diana did not ask poor Steve. She asked Thea, who she thought was very wise. It's not that they don't have any status at all. The highest leaders in several countries are women. Thea then sprinkled a handful of salt in Diana's bright eyes. But they don't have any real power. As for the books you mentioned, I can only say that those books were written by men. Women don't have the right to publish them for now. These words made Diana dizzy. She stared at the only man in the room with an unfriendly face. If it were not for her kindness, she would have stabbed a few holes in him with the Godslayer.